Welcome to the Strategic Project Leader, where we help you leverage strategic project management so you can achieve your goals. Now, here's your host, Bola Alabi.
Good morning and welcome to another episode on the SPL podcast, where we obviously create strategic leaders. If you're an executive, you're a project professional, or maybe just a mid-level professional wondering what next, and then wondering what next. You're a project professional, or maybe just a mid-level professional wondering what next, and then wondering what. Can you hear me now? Okay. Now, they say, well, listen, like anything that can go wrong obviously goes wrong. But we actually, what's it called? We actually back live. I hope you can hear. Can I know in the comments if you can actually hear me? Can you hear me now? Daniel, can you hear me? Okay. Can you hear me? Let me just know if you can hear me. Great. We are back. We're live on the Strategic Project Leader podcast. Today, we're going to be diving into a very interesting topic, and it's going to be all things on how you can actually elevate your career. You know what? With every project at times, you said, whatever can go wrong does go wrong, but we've actually fixed it. Oh, thank you, Carol. I can see you are there. We have actually fixed it, and we are now back on track. Just take a deep breath, right? We're going to get through this. Definitely shows there's something awesome that's meant to happen today on this particular episode. But let's get into it. Oh, I can see you can hear me now. First off, let me know where you're joining us from, because we're going to be diving into a very exceptional topic. It's something that I've been so passionate about, wondering, like, how can you level up? Just like a lot of people wondering, have you been to the grocery store recently, right? Things are so expensive. We want to be able to earn more, right? You want to be able to take those fancy vacations. You want to be able to live the life you truly crave. And believe it or not, we're going to be doing all of this with not just the skills that you thought you never had, but the ones you already have and you're going to be leveraging. So let me tell you about my guest speaker today. Okay, Daniel is actually one who's actually founded what we call the PM Playbook. For those who have used a lot of playbooks, I remember even earlier in my career, it's like we always have a playbook where you can go in, get the shortcuts, get into like all things you need to know about a particular subject matter. It helps you demystify those complexities for you to level up. For the past over a decade, he's done, a lot of work within the project management space, and now he's going to be coming to break it down to you on how you can actually go beyond just where you're at, looking at a different dimension beyond just the normal 9 to 5 we think about, but also thinking about entrepreneurship and beyond. Can you please join me as I bring you stage Daniel Hemhauser? How are you doing today, Daniel? Oh my
goodness. Good, my friend. That was a great intro. I want to hire me now. But no, but like you said, we had a few technical difficulties, but we're PMs. We get through it, right?
That's right. As in, when we think about project management, they say everything that can go wrong at times just go wrong. Yep. Yes, but we are back. We're live. And so, because we're just fixing, it's like you're building the plane, right? We're jumping off of the plane and we're building it as we go as well.
Yep.
But we are going to get through all of this. So thank you so much, Kara. I can see Chris joining. Thank you, Chris. Oh, I've got Emad. Thank you, Emad, for joining. What's the weather in Egypt today? For me right here, joining you from Calgary. Oh, my goodness. It's snowing this morning. And so let's get into Daniel. Let us know where you're joining us from. First of all, what's the weather where you're at this wonderful, beautiful morning? Or maybe it's evening where you're at as well. Daniel, can you hear me?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were talking to.
No, it's you.
I'm out of
this
the great state of New Jersey. I live about 20 minutes outside of New York. So right now, it's actually decent outside. We've had I believe you're in Canada. We have had very similar weather. 180 degrees one day and then like -5 the next day with a lot of snow. It seems like it's finally kind of calming down a little bit and actually getting into some nice spring weather. So hoping it stays like this.
Awesome, Hope, and welcome to the SPL podcast. Great to have you. What we always love to do when we start is a quick icebreaker. A lot of people have seen you online and seen your LinkedIn on the streets of Twitter or X as we call it today. They want to know a little bit. Tell me something different, a fun fact about you.
I don't know. I'm not that fun. Not that. All I do is work all day. I mean, really the only thing outside of work is certainly my family. And although, I am an introvert by nature, although you wouldn't see it normally. I just try to do a lot of community work in my community. Me and my family are involved in a lot of different things. Again, really just trying to foster a great community environment, the people around us, and just do a lot of outside stuff. Honestly, other than that, trying to grow this business the last year or so, it's taken 80 to 100 hours of my week. So I haven't had many fun things to do, but we have a great vacation planned in the next few weeks. So I'm very much looking forward to that.
Did you hear that? He's building a business and he's actually taking 100, hours from him.
Yes.
Is that 100 hours a week then?
Easily 100 hours a week. Yeah.
So double the full-time hours that you normally do. And that's pretty much some other stuff we're going to be getting into where we think about project management from a different dimension, how we can earn more and not just only the rosy side of it, but also the challenges that come with it, but also the benefits you then get after that as well. So great. Daniel said he's a lot of fun. For those who don't actually know, he wants to behave like strategic and all that. He's just about business, but there's a lot of fun side you're going to find out as long as you hang on and come along with us on this particular show. So yes, for those who are actually watching, just to let you know, make sure you put your comments, below. Let us engage because today we're going to be diving into some key stuff and demystifying a lot of the things that you may have thought was actually impossible. So let's think about that. We want to talk about all things project management. And as you know, Daniel, like a lot of the time you see PMs today, I've got a job. Tomorrow, it's like, I've just been laid off. Exactly. And I asked the same question. I said, how many times do you really see an accountant, saying I'm out of a job? Or how many times do you see maybe an engineer? I know some people don't actually lose roles, but in project management, it seems to be like this highs and lows. What are your thoughts on that, first of all?
No, I couldn't agree more. And as we talked about for the pre-show, I'm seeing a lot of it. Since I got laid off October 24 and been working with project managers to try to build this business. I've talked to well over 2,000 project managers at this point, and everyone is scared. I've been in the industry about 21 years. I've been working professionally almost 30. I've seen ups and downs, but I've never seen something where I just don't know what to tell people anymore. And it's very concerning, disconcerting. Everyone's nervous. We have AI, kind of taking, certain pieces of our role. So there's just so much insanity going on, and just across the industry, people just seem to be very nervous. And, again, ordinarily in the past, you got a PM job, you were good to go, you worked your 20, 30 years. But now it just seems like at any day, like the project I was in, I was saving my company $140, $50 million. We were kicking butt and taking names. And all of a sudden one day we got a call, boom, 2 minutes later, me and my entire team were laid off. So the stability that at least perceived back in the day doesn't seem to be there. And to me, flipping that on its head, one of the reasons why I started the business specifically is to kind of get out of that and to teach other people how to do that, because it is unstable. I was 50 years old when that happened, and I certainly was not ready for it. Although, financially I was doing well and all those other good things, I was not mentally prepared for it. And I was kind of, I was a little messed up for a while, but I got back on my feet, got my butt kicked by my wife, jumped back on. And, as things started to progress and things started to move, I realized that a lot of other people are going through the same thing. And that's one of the missions that I've been on, just try to help people figure things out. Maybe this isn't a career for you. Maybe, you want to do something else. Maybe you can move to an executive level. There's so many different options that people haven't considered, which is exactly what we're going to be talking about today.
100%. And so those who are actually watching, you may be at different stages in your career. And that's okay. We have actually worked the paths and we've had different trajectories, but we want to create a clearer path and options for you to not just stay at the level you're at. Maybe you're earning $60,000, $100,000, or maybe you haven't even got a job at all, or you may be aspiring to say, I want to create something bigger. How do we get there? And how do you create a path that you can become more stable in your career as well? So make sure you join in, chime in, share your thoughts, your experiences as well, because we are going to be, being just 100% with you as we actually share our story. So you've actually shed light into something really critical, where we find out that a lot of the times, not because you're not great at your job, as you said, you have helped organization, add value. You've showcased that, but still you end up getting the call at 8:00 in the morning saying that your role is no longer, needed anymore. So how can we really start at a level where you're fortified, so you don't actually experience that, or even when it comes, you didn't have options. You have built a fantastic community right now, right? But you started building it afterwards. I have something that I call the launch pad. I believe that even while you have a role now, you have to start thinking beyond where you're at. So you never get into a position that you are not having to say, how do I pick myself up now? What are your thoughts on that? Yes.
Not a fun position to be in.
Yes. You want to be able to have, I don't even say a backup plan, I call it building a parallel engine, where at the same time you can think about what skills have you got at the moment as a project manager, as a PMO lead, as an analyst, that you can leverage, into different verticals. I think that's the key thing. So let's really start with the disconnect from project professionals delivering high volume of work. And when we think about the financial growth that comes with that, there is a disparity. What can be done, first of all, for people who are just here wondering, okay, I think I'm already doing too much. I'm saving the company money, or I'm doing all this great stuff, and I think I'm not even rewarded for it. What's like the best solution to this?
That's a great question. And that's exactly where I was at. And I did get that 8:00 a.m. call. Although it was a global call, it was about 8:00 in the morning. And again, I was shocked. Again, being a little bit older, I'm not 30 years old anymore. So again, I thought I was on a path, I had a great company, I was being promoted. I mean, again, certainly wasn't getting the money I deserved, but I thought I was just, going to continue my days there. And when I was caught off guard like that, it shook me up. And it wasn't until a few months later where I actually learned quite a few things and was able to take my 20 plus years of experience to kind of smash those things together to really leverage the things for myself, let alone be able to flip that on its head and help other people do it. Again, we're in 2026, right? Personal branding. I never even heard of that. Maybe my kids on social media or something, but this is something that's so important now. You have to have a brand, both internally at your job and outside of there, because God forbid something does happen to you and you are shook and all of a sudden you don't have a job anymore. You need to be in a position that you could hit the ground running. That via networking, LinkedIn's a great area of opportunity, as we both know. There's a lot of other areas, communities, PMI chapters, things like that. So having, thinking outside the box and not just worrying about your day-to-day as PMs, especially the more significant role, the larger projects, we get so into the minute details of some of these things that we forget to stop, not only to take care of ourselves, but to really consider our career. I'm telling people now, dude, once a month, once a quarter, kind of take a look at where you are in your career. Are you happy? Are you excited? Do you have the things? If you lost your job, would you be good? Are you doing the networking that's in the background? Are you, creating some kind of persona on the internet? Are you writing articles or book? Whatever that particular thing looks like for you that kind of fits into your life and your environment, you have to be doing those things because you just don't know. You watch it again, Amazon's laying off, Facebook's laying off, everyone's laying off. And then we have AI breathing down our necks, and depending on which data source, up to 80% of our role is going to be taken away. To me, when I hear that, I get really nervous. But then over the last year and a half, I've really found out that's actually a really good opportunity. One, for us to use it ourselves. Two, to take away all that nonsense work that we're ordinarily stuck in, that we can't take that time to consider our own careers and the path forward and what's best for us and our family. But really to take that as an opportunity to really start working with other people, get closer, get your ear on the ground, talk to the people above you, talk to the others in the organization, and really try to see what's going on in the environment, at least at work. So you have a better understanding of kind of what's going on in the business. So you're not as blindsided. Simultaneously doing your stuff on the outside, maybe a LinkedIn post here or there, an article, reaching out to people, making sure that you don't have a network of just followers or friends on LinkedIn, that you actually have people that you could reach out to and let them know, hey man, listen, or girl, like this is what I'm going through. You know, do you have any experience? I promise you, you will find the best people in the world. I've met so many amazing people that I consider some of my best friends in such a short amount of time. And together, all these different things have put me in the position I wish I was in 18 months ago. Because when I was laid off at the age of 50, I was scared. Although, you know, I was doing decent money. I have a wife, I have 4 kids, I have a house, I have bills like everyone else. I didn't know what I was going to do if that went on for 3 or 4 months. I was going to, you know, deplete my savings. But now I see doing all the things that I wasn't doing previously. LinkedIn, I thought it was just a place you put your resume. Apparently, it's not that anymore. But I've kind of turned all those things on its head, and these are some of the things that I'm trying to help my coaching and mentoring folks that I work with. Because in today's day and age, especially with AI, regardless of whether you're using it directly for your role or if it's coming down into your company, at some point something could potentially happen from that, or just something else that's going on in the insane world that we live in today. So you must be prepared, and just doing these bare minimum things really sets the stage for, just in case something happens, you have an action path, a path forward that you could jump on immediately. It might not work day one, but at least you have some path forward. You have the right people to talk to. You know who the recruiters are. You know, you've built a relationship or a few relationships with people now that you can reach out to them, and they trust you and they know who you are, and they've had a few conversations, and they're happy to recommend you to some folks, possibly if they see a role come up.
You want to be able to apply for the job and get it. Can you guys hear me? Today just seems to be a little bit interesting. I hope you guys can hear me. But the point is that I love exactly everything you've actually spoken about. The key here is we need to ensure that whatever we are doing, we can showcase the value we're bringing to the table. But remember that I say this, you either work for a business or you own a business. Either way, you're in business.
Exactly.
Think about your career like a business. And so if you're a business-minded person, you're going to say, okay, now how do I add value? How do I manage the risk? What am I doing today that can actually help me elevate whatever it is that I'm actually putting forward? And this particular mindset is what has actually shifted for me. And so in doing this, I say, how do I build what I call the parallel engine, Daniel? And so it's a case of you're creating value. At the same time, I see everything the organization has given to you, a space where you can learn about project management, where you can learn about risk, stakeholder analysis, and say, how can I leverage this? And I love the fact that you said every 2 or 3 months, you want to do a self-assessment and understand, where am I at? You know, how am I doing from the perspective of value to the customer? Yeah. Also from the perspective of value to my own business as a career. Yes. So that way you can assess and say, based on where things are at, I am at a space that even if anything goes wrong, or if maybe I lose that particular job, I have a launch pad to push me and propel me forward as well. And I think that's actually critical. So we're thinking about having the normal project phases like, initiating, planning, executing, control, blah, blah, blah. Yes, you're creating that particular roadmap and having that piece every day to say, this is exactly one of the things that the risk I've identified. And this is kind of how we need to get there. Sorry, guys, I can see now. I think we're back. Tech issues resolved. All right. Thank you so much. That's great. So now let's think about that. So now we've gotten away from the fact that we need to look at ourselves as a business. We're applying project management. A lot of the times I also see PMs who have been playing a little bit small. Yeah. And we say, I have my job. I have a job description. That's what I've been brought in to deliver, and I'm going to stick to that. How do you think that's also hampering progress, Daniel?
That's a good question. And for anyone who follows me, and I see a bunch of names on here for people I talk to all the time, I post about this a lot because I really, the more I see this and the more people that I talk to, it really upsets me because I know how hard people are working. I know that they want to do the right thing. I just feel like a lot of times we get stuck, right? I've had many times, probably the first 10 years of my PM career, I just want to do my job, go to work, put my best foot forward. And I wasn't considering any of these other things. And I made myself small because I wasn't involved in the conversation. I really didn't understand. I wasn't putting myself in a position to be able to understand value and to help create value, or at least be in the conversations where this was happening. So I did it a lot to myself, and I see so many other people doing it. So yeah, at the end of the day, you need to be in the know, right? And you need to be, if we're talking about just within the organization, you really need to understand by taking a step back of what you're doing at work, really kind of see the value that's going on in the business, right? Me personally, as an example, I'll start a new job. The first thing I do, I meet my team, I kind of figure out what's going on there, but I go right to the operations lead, the HR lead, the finance. I talk to everyone. I want to really understand what's happening in the business so that I could get a really good understanding, because again, although my project, program, portfolio, whatever the case may be, exists in my bubble, it exists in a larger bubble. How am I going to connect and show the value of what me and my team are doing to the rest of the business? Also, kind of, if there's clients, of course, if it's an external facing business, I want to kind of, see what's going on with the clients. I'll talk to a few of them, but I really want to take in as much information as possible so that I could always be in the best position to act, react. Hopefully I'm proactively doing stuff. But if something does come up, I'm usually well aware of what's going on, so I could adjust, I could change things. But I'm also always searching for opportunities for me and my team, always me and my team, to create additional value, even if it's, a little bit something outside of the project world, just so that we're visible. They see what we got going on. Hey, let's do an AI project in a year from now. Me and my team, we're going to get onto AI. We're going to figure this out, right? We're going to make sure that you can say you already have a team that's capable of doing this and capable of working with this. So, and again, outside of that, there's so many things that you could do. Again, the certifications you could get. There's training. I do journaling. Like, there's so many little things that you could do to really keep an eye on your career, looking at LinkedIn, looking on the internet. You have to be in the know. You have to be more aware of that, more than your little bubble. Because again, God forbid that, you do get that call and you're shocked and all you know is I'm putting in my 120% every single week and no one cares. It's because I'm not showing them what I'm doing every day. They see the results. They see my status updates, which to me is really a look in the rearview mirror. I'm not showing them what my actual value is. Now, in some instances, it doesn't matter. In my instance, we got new leadership, so they just did a clean sweep. It didn't matter what we were doing, but that's not the case for most organizations, right? But yeah, again, constantly intaking stuff outside of your project and really looking up from the table. I see so many project managers that they're stuck down in their documents. They're looking at their project charts, or all the different documents, and they're not looking up from the table and looking beyond that. They're not looking in their team's eyes. They're not trying to figure out what's going on in the business. They're not trying to see outside the business how they can make themselves better as well as their teams. Because to me, as a senior PM or someone that's been around a long time, I feel it's my responsibility to help those around me and create a little pay it forward with the intent of hopefully they do it to others, and really show people that, again, work is not life. Because again, at any moment, it can be taken away from you. So one of the things that I try to tell people, just a short thing is, again, you are not your job. You are a human being that has a job as a project manager. So like you said, you have to manage that. We're project managers. We can project manage our life, and that includes lots of different variables. But again, always having your head on a swivel, taking a head up from the laptop, and just really trying to take in what's going on around you, both locally in your team and those around you, even at the clients. The more information that you have, the better position you are to adjust if something does come up.
I love that. And the thing is, for me, I cannot create a frame. I'm going to see if I can actually even share my screen. I think I can. Okay. Can you see my screen? Okay.
Yes.
For me, I have something that I call, what's it called? It's kind of like a couple of steps. I first of all say solve like bigger problems.
Yes. Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Solve bigger problems. My handwriting is actually terrible, but I love writing this down so you can remember. Solve bigger problems. You said you go out and you seek for solutions for yourself and your team, right? You go out there to find out what problems are in the organization. How can I solve it? But the point is that you want to be sure that you are solving something that is big enough that you're going to be rewarded for.
Yes.
Because for me, right, value always sits at the middle. You want to create value, but you want to be sure that the value you're creating is big enough that people are going to even reward you for it in the first place.
Exactly. Yeah. As we noticed. Yeah.
Because at the end of it, you solve a small problem. I remember, I think it was one of the top voices on the internet who talks about, if you solve a bigger problem, you get paid even bigger for it. For instance, you can say, I created a new risk register. Okay, that's good.
Yeah, that's the basics.
Basically, I just help make the risk register better. Or you can actually say, oh, guess what? I was just able to improve efficiency by 5 or 10%. How did I do that? Now our reporting lines are less, reporting timelines. Accounting can get, information or invoices from our customers seamlessly because now once an invoice comes in of what needs to get paid, it connects me to SharePoint. I don't know, whatever the process is. The second thing, and I'm going to ask some questions. Something I came up with is like connecting to value, right? That's the next one. You want to be able to connect to value. Because a lot of the times we think solution is great, whatever is that, but how does that connect to what really matters? And then you want to quantify it.
That's the key, quantifying it.
You want to quantify, and I'm going to give you the stage pretty quick, but I want us to make sure that we have that, some of these things. Where's my thing? Number 3. We want to quantify it. And then what happens next, you wanted an architect leverage, and Daniel does this so well. I'm going to be poking you on this because your leverage, like he has created a playbook. You want to leverage, you want to create something that people can actually then take on and use it. So for instance, if you create a system, can people then go back and use it repeatedly? So leveraging and creating architecting something that people can actually use. Yeah. And the last part of it, so number 4 is what? Being able to what? Architect for leverage. Then the number 5 is what you want to lead at a strategic level. Let me just write that down for a second. Lead.
I love this, by the way. This is good.
Level. Yeah. Before I give you the stage. So let's think about this. And obviously, as we come back, I'm going to remove this off the screen and then we're going to come back to that. And what I just felt was actually scale. So this is SC. The word. So when you think about the word scale, it helps you understand how you take it to the next level. Because I said, in every single stage of my career, what have I really done? I found that I was solving very little problems earlier in my career. So like no one actually cared, right? No one cared. But when the solution of what you're creating is bigger, like what you're trying to do, you're creating a bigger community now for PMs to come in and interact, get solutions and playbooks and stuff. Now they can actually have something they can actually leverage and actually create a multiplicity effect. This is an entrepreneurial mindset. How have you been able to develop that, and how can other people do that as well, Daniel?
That's a really good question, and I love the framework. And what I found is PMs are entrepreneurial by nature. No, I haven't met any other professions where we just figure stuff out. And that's exactly what a founder does. I'm seeing a lot of, I've had a business or two here before. I've had a few consulting businesses, but this is the first time I'm going out with no partners on my own. And of course I leverage a little bit of that experience in the past, the business stuff, but I come to see that everything I've done in project management, how I figure things out, of course, one, I'm a project manager. I know how to put plans together. I know how to figure these things out and kind of, set deadlines and try to figure out phases and all the things that you ordinarily would in a project. But by the way that we work, especially the longer amount of experience that you have, we start to develop many of the entrepreneurial and entrepreneurial skills that you would have to succeed in running your own business, whether it be consulting, some other kind of training or coaching business, or even fractional work, whatever the case may be for you. The way that we work inherently is already entrepreneurial. We're always looking for solutions. We're looking for the right people to talk to. We're looking for answers. We know how to package things and put things together so that we can easily get the decisions made for us as fast as possible. So kind of combining those and a million other things that kind of come along with that, lead me to believe, again, most project managers, at least decent ones anyway, are entrepreneurial by nature. Now, does that mean that we could just pick up and start a business? No. A lot of the things that I've come to find are, myself included, not just people, myself included. I had a confidence problem. Although I was always up for my team and willing to go to bat and deliver great projects. One of the things I find, that I talk to a lot of people that say something similar, where we have an issue, I think, as a profession, talking about ourselves, because we are so used to servant leadership, talking about our team, standing them up, protecting them. So one of the challenges that I found that kind of stops the entrepreneurial spirit from happening is that I don't want to really call it it could be like lack of confidence, but once you get over that hurdle and you understand that you already have the skills, we're entrepreneurial by nature, just by the things that we do every day. We find answers to anything that we need to make our projects move forward, or programs, or whatever the case may be, right? So again, we already have the skills. We have to bet on ourselves. That's what I'm finding the most the most challenging. My coaching clients, my mentees, they have never bet on themselves, or they've never been given permission to bet on themselves, because they've been told, as a profession, it's about the team, it's about the team. And I promise it's always about the team, but it's still about you too. You're the person helping to lead and deliver that project. You're not doing the work. At the end of the day, through that servant leadership mindset, which is great, I follow it 1,000% all the time. But again, I think there's just a piece of that kind of takes away from our own well-being, that doesn't allow us to kind of take care of ourselves, which allow us to have that courage and that permission to do what we've been talking about the last 10 minutes.
No, for sure. And, the thing that is so interesting is, for instance, I created like an ebook just for this, and just to let people know, for everyone who's actually watching, just comment the word skill at the end of this particular show. I'm going to be sending you that particular resource, the word skill. The fact is, I remember I travel a lot, and I sat down to think about the fact that two things. A bottle of Coke, right? We know that it sells for less than $1 in a supermarket, Daniel, right? That same bottle of Coke, when you get to the airport, sells, for what? Probably $2 or $3. If you get on the airplane itself, right, it sells for way more.
Oh yeah, like 15
times as well. You see, you said it. PM's already entrepreneurial. We are great at what we do. We execute, we do stuff. But at times your location may just not be the right one as well.
Yes.
So the value that you have, it doesn't change anything. The same way you have like a PM who works maybe in Ohio who makes $70,000. He goes to Silicon Valley and he's going to be earning $250,000.
Yeah.
Same skill set, different location.
Yeah.
So part of the skill framework we're talking about, we say, well, you have to lead at a strategic level. You have to start thinking about positioning as well. So we want to tap into what you have. Because as Daniel said, when you go off and do a self-assessment in the next couple of days and weeks, you want to see where are things at? What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? But also understand, what are my blind spots? Maybe my location has to change, right? What exactly am I doing that maybe, as I think Chris mentioned something in the comments, thanks for that. You may just not be aligning to what actually matters for the organization. We spoke about solving bigger problems, because you may just be doing the normal, the bare basic, right? It's fine if you're good at executing projects. You can, get the stakeholders in, the rah-rah and everything is great. But what extra?
Yeah, so that's the bare minimum.
Yes,
that's what they expect from you.
That's the bare minimum. And so being an entrepreneur, think about the fact that, Daniel, imagine you setting up this business. You had to probably become a website developer, a content creator, everything all in one. So that way you are like leveraging different aspects of your brain, different skill set. So even when you show up as a project manager, you're not just only there to just execute. Go and have those coffee meetings with the vice president, with the director, and say, what are the problems that you guys are facing? Like, what are we trying to fix here?
Exactly. And that instantly puts you at their level and lets them know this is someone worth paying attention to. They are maybe not exactly right the second, creating value, but they want to partner with the executive, whoever it is, the executive team, the sponsor team. They want to partner with us. And then a few of those conversations, a few different things that, where you actually create the value. And all of a sudden you're looked at as a peer, not the PM that's down the street delivering those tactical projects for us. You are now getting closer to earning that seat at the coveted table that we always talk about so much.
Exactly. And the thing is that it seems so basic. Some things are actually hiding in plain sight. And so I tell a lot of people, without going off to go do another certification, without going off to say, I even want to go do that, what have you got now that you're not even fully leveraging? Like, I want to imagine, like, see the community you've actually built, Daniel, right? You probably didn't have to go back and get another MBA.
No, it feels like it.
You see what I mean?
The funny thing is, like you were saying, right? I had to become a website designer. Yes, I've done a little bit of that in the past. But listen, if you could build a dashboard for an executive, you could design a website. You have to be a marketer. Now, obviously, I'm on LinkedIn all the time. Like, you have to be a marketer. Hey, I was never a marketer. I know people do it. But, hey, I'm used to selling the crap out of my project. So there's my marketing skills right there. So I just had to do a little bit of a deep dive to really take in all these different things and realize I had the skills. Now, is it time consuming? Yes. Is it frustrating on a lot of days? Yes. Does the money come in immediately? No, it does not. But most PMs, 4 or 5 years or more, have at least a base level understanding. You just need to reevaluate how you think about it. Just like, a PM coming into the industry, they might have 15, 20 years in another industry and they're stuck. They don't really know how to translate that. Just by your, kind of a remake of your resume, by just making it more project manager friendly, maybe tweaking a few words without, lying or exaggerating. You're doing something similar. So again, most project managers have a lot of these skills already. They're just not looking at it in a way that you would think, like, oh, website marketing, finance, like, I don't know any of this stuff. Have you managed a project budget? I've done that on my $5 project. So you know how to do finance. And again, you have resources. The networking part we talked about earlier. I don't know everything. I certainly don't know everything, but I know who people do. I know people do. And if they don't, they let me know who did, because I've done the networking. I put in the footwork. Last year, I logged 8,200 hours. That sounds crazy. That's almost 5 years of work in 1 year. But I built 20 years of relationships all at one time. I do not recommend doing that for everyone, but the point's the same, because I was really trying to get something going. But the point's the same. You have to do the legwork. You can't always be sitting in the what's going on now. You have to be, again, looking forward and seeing what else is going on, because at the end of the day, we have most of these skills. We might not be a coder, but there's a million videos for that. There's courses that are really cheap nowadays. We have AI to do a lot of this stuff for us. So we have never been better positioned to do some of these things and apply that entrepreneurial or even entrepreneurial mindset to have better careers for ourselves and go beyond that 60, 70,000 mark, regardless of where you are. We work remotely. Everyone's connected to the internet. Now you can take all of these things and best position yourself, just like Paul was talking about. The position and the visibility that you create for yourself allows you to do these things anywhere I could do it from my phone on a train, run my business nowadays. Everyone has these skills. You just need to, 1, identify them, 2, give yourself the permission to kind of take this on it, and 3, do something about it. If you could do those 3 things, you are well on your way.
Exactly. The key here is, especially, I always break it down into 2 zones, where I already know that for you to have been able to land the project manager job before already tells me that you already pretty much know how to create a plan, right? You know how to create, you know how to create us, you know how to deal with stakeholders, you know how to communicate, you know how to put a team together. So you already have the basics. But now how can you elevate that? Because now we're talking about 7 figures. 7 figures, I say, you want to solve bigger problems so you can also start being paid on a higher level.
Yes.
And so you look at something, because so you might seem like, oh, that's even so simple. But are you elevate and you position it differently? Then you mentioned visibility. I always love to give these examples, even when I give keynotes everywhere. I'm going to ask in the comments, for instance, when we think about going to grab a meal, maybe, we get on a plane and we hop over to Japan. You've never been to Japan before. And you say, I want to go grab a burger. Daniel, where are you going to go? What's going to come to mind? Because it's a country you've never been before. What restaurant are you going to think about to go grab a burger quickly?
Probably reach out to somebody I know from Japan.
No. Like a restaurant, like a fast food place that you probably want to know. Where do you think about when you think about burgers now? Yeah.
No, that's a good way to put that. I didn't even think about it like that. That's a really good way to put that.
Okay, but I'm trying to make a point. I'm just trying to say, most of the time, people might think about McDonald's. For example, you might say, let me go to McDonald's. McDonald's has built a global brand around burgers where you feel, because I know you're going to be everywhere, I can walk into a McDonald's store.
It's going to be 99% the same.
Yes, but it doesn't really mean that McDonald's may make the best of burgers. But because they've branded themselves around, they're visible, you're going to remember that. And so what do people remember about you when you're not even in the room? How do you get introduced?
Yeah.
And so
it.
you see what I mean? So creating visibility is absolutely so critical. I told you it's not about being the best anymore.
No,
It's about being the best known.
It's about the best known. That's it. Yes, you nailed it. Yep.
If no one knows about you, like now I can say, like, I'm a new PM. I'm trying to get into a community. I want to get a playbook together. I'm like, go talk to Daniel, right? He's building something where you can go in and learn and leverage that. Exactly. The fact is, you want to build a brand around a problem that you can actually solve. And people might say project management is great. Yeah, that's just one piece of the puzzle when it comes to your career.
Oh, yeah. Little piece. Yeah.
You execute on that. But what makes you different? What makes you so valuable that everyone says, goodness, Daniel hasn't been to work for the last, 2 days. What's going on? We need to solve that problem. That's what takes you beyond just the normal 6-figure earner to that 7-figure level. I see that with executive leaders. I talk about challenges. We talk about, listen, a cost of borrowing. Do you realize that even if your project costs $5 million, it may cost the project even more because there's also a cost of borrowing the $5 million they've actually hedged that money against.
Yes.
The interest rates. There's so much more that's actually at stake for your project you probably don't even understand.
Yeah.
And that's what the kind of things we're talking about. It's an elevated mindset that you have to start operating at so that way you can be more visible. People understand the value you bring to the table. And then you can start executing in a way that people see that perception of the value you also create as well. I think that's actually, let me just say, I think we've got great tips, great stuff, comment to comment. And just let you know, put your questions in the comments. We're going to be putting Daniel on the hot seats. Right now, we're just trying to have a conversation and set this, the stage and the scene for everything else that's actually up to come. So Daniel, when we look at your career for the last, over 2 decades, you've seen that project management, of course, solves different problems. Right? We talk about a bit about positioning. We talked about, looking at it from the outside and the inside. What would you see are all the other skills that will be necessary now, especially in this age of AI, that PMs may not realize that they need to probably tap into? What kind of problems do they need to be solving? How can they identify that? How can they solve that? What could be the differentiation? That could be what takes you from the level you're at to the next one.
That's a really good question. And I was hoping that we got to this today. Obviously, just existing, let alone if you're paying attention to what's going on around, you should have some of that. But there are ways to kind of figure this stuff out, right? As an example, we use the work. You nailed it perfectly, right? If I want to have the executives respect me and understand that I am a value creator, I need to be able to speak their language, like just basic little things, right? I need to be able to speak the language of executives. But, when you're kind of taking that outside a little bit more, just being able to find different ways to kind of you just have to be in a place of continuous learning, right? Like you said, AI, we'll use that as an example for a second. You do not need to master every single thing that has to do with AI. Every day we got 50 new tools coming down the pipe. At some point, they'll probably stabilize. It'll probably be a few years from now. Does that mean you can't understand the basics, how to write a basic prompt, a basic understanding of agentic AI and kind of how it works together, and at least the core structure of it? You could apply that to all different platforms. Are there some better than others? Will some apply in your work? Some are more, for maybe content creation or your professional life. So really trying to kind of see what's going on around you. As an example, I always say LinkedIn. I do polling all the time. I'm in groups. I hear what other people are talking about. I keep my ear to the ground. I really try to understand what's going on in the world. More macro. And then I try to kind of figure out what's going on in our profession, more micro, right? And I kind of try to put those two things together because at many instances they do intersect. As an example, we have a war going on. The economy is not great in the U.S. and other places. So with all these different things on it, negatively or could be positively affects the way that we work, and we have to pay attention to those things. We have to keep an eye on the ball, right? But if you are able to kind of consume this and always going back to the one of the first comments I made about always doing an evaluation or reevaluation, or always just trying to, again, doesn't mean you need to spend 3 hours on the internet every day looking for things, but there are ways. again, PMI chapters, local groups, come to the PM Playbook, LinkedIn. There's a million different ways that you could kind of see and feel what's going on. So one, you could kind of be prepared in case that ever happens to you again, but you really start to see what value people are looking for, what problems can be solved. And don't even stop at our profession. Make sure you're in leadership groups. There's tons of different meetings and groups and communities. These people, you could hear what their problems are because they're pronouncing them in these different groups and these meetings and masterminds. So there are so many different opportunities to step out of your realm, step into the other person's realm, and combining those things together is literally how I came up with my business, by kind of seeing what the problems were at the leadership level, bringing them to the PM level, reevaluating from what I learned, kind of putting those two things together and saying, there's something missing here, and I think I could do it. And with a right team around me, I think we can make a push for this. And it seems to be successful so far. But I did a lot of legwork, and I talked to a lot of people, and I really tried to expand beyond my little niche. I had to lift my head up, right? And just by doing that in any environment, it could be personal stuff as well. It just gives you a better understanding of what's going on, so you know how to best position yourself when the time comes, or even better, you're proactively looking to get yourself in front of the right people so that you can show the value right off the bat. Maybe solve a problem before they even ask you to. But there's so many different ways to do it at work, or doing something on the side, or even in your community. It has nothing to do with your job, or even in your family. So there's so many different ways to do it. But just leave you with this one thing: be open to it. Be open-minded. Look for opportunities. They're everywhere. I promise they are everywhere. You just have to know where to look. But also, again, take it above where you are and look how other people are perceiving, and kind of take a look at the world in general, kind of the professional world as well as your world. If you're looking to start a business or anything, you'll find the path.
That's right. And the thing is, I always love having like this formulas for all this. I say, when opportunity meets preparedness.
Yes. That's
okay. When you're prepared for something, an opportunity actually shows up.
Yes.
It's easy to actually take that forward. What even makes it better is, so when opportunity meets preparedness, it's actually a pain point that people are willing to even pay for.
Oh yeah.
The magic even happens. And there is actually like a multiplicity effect. Imagine when there's a larger amount of people who have that problem. So for instance, we spoke about building your parallel engine, as I said, like you've got a job at the moment, which is great. You're working there. You probably identified you're good at communicating. Have you actually ever gone to the communication team and say, guess what? I want to also probably volunteer to help you guys with your newsletter on the corporate side. Yes. That gives you visibility beyond your project group. Or maybe you're one who just loves problem solving and simplifying stuff. And you want to just go and say, go and have a meeting with account papers. I love numbers as well. I want to learn a little bit about, financials. I want to get to know about EBITDA, right? How does this connect to profit and loss? I'm telling you. Or you're someone who's actually more extremely technical engineering, and you do the engineering stuff, but you want to get more visibility. You say, I want to put my hands up. There's another major construction project. Can I just do a couple of hours to see your team meetings to find out what's really going on there? The point is, opportunities will never just fall on your laps.
No.
These days, we just have to go out and look for it. The future of work, the future leaders who are going to take the bull by the horn, as Daniel has said, is like you want to go into these groups to find out where are the pain points. Because you don't want to say, okay, I'm going to go create this new thing, and no one is actually interested in it. But when there are people who are primed for that, and you say that I have the skills to actually create the solution for it, then you're already off to the races, because you want to always be seen as invaluable. You want to be seen as someone like they don't want to do without. And even if they let go of you, you've already created opportunities even outside of where you currently work, where you can actually also leverage that. Because I say you never look for a job when you're out of a job.
No.
You want to be able to do that. Yes, you see what I mean? It's harder because then there's tension. You're wondering, what next? But when you have an opportunity, even the way you show up at interviews is different, right? The confidence, because I've got something to fall back on. You want to build that. So remember, as we said before, it's like you're solving bigger problems. But as we said, we want to be sure that the problem you're solving is really one that has been tested. You've heard it from that particular group saying that there's a problem with, how we report. There's a problem how we do our accounting. You want to ensure that you're connecting, you're quantifying it. Because another thing I see, yes, as we said, is even how we elevate our status reports. I remember 5 years ago, this was when I was brought into a post-mortem review on a particular project group. And I found out that this project, as you said, we're doing everything okay. Risk were, managed properly. They were always reporting on when things were not going right. The stakeholders seemed to have been happy, but they were not really quantifying, how the risk impacted, the business overall. So flagging an issue or a risk as it's red, green, or amber, okay.
Yeah, exactly.
What's the monetary impact of that, right? People are going to also pay attention. And who owns that particular piece? So thinking about that just as your career and say there's a high risk that I may be let go by the end of 2025. So what does that mean financially? What should I be doing now? What skills should I be leveraging? Daniel has said understanding AI. Doesn't mean it's going to become a prompt engineer or whatever, but how does this connect to the business? Or what can I do differently? And these are the little things that seem so basic, but they can help you elevate your career and take you to a totally new level that you have actually never even thought about before. Do you want to add something to that?
100%. I could just tell you, again, ordinarily, very much in line with what you just said, Hola, every time I start a new job, beyond my team and my manager, the first thing I go to do is I attempt, and I pay all the time, to meet with all the heads of all the teams in my business, because I want to understand who they are, start building a relationship, what are the problems they face as a PM who's going to interact with your team, and of course, at some point, maybe potentially have some cross-functional collaboration with your team. Does your team like to be worked with? So I try to, again, get as much information as possible, but again, building a relationship, get as much information as possible. Now they walk away like, oh, that guy's a go-getter, or she's a go-getter. Like they really want to make sure that next time a project comes down the pipe, sometimes talk to end users or the operation. It doesn't matter, but you have to, again, go outside your bubble by being everywhere all the time, although that's not really what's happening. It might seem like that, but everyone now sees you, they know you're doing your thing, but you're also trying to really understand how it fits into the business. How could it affect the end users? How could it affect the clients? Maybe we deliver this project. I've had a ton of projects that they met every metrics, but no one used the project. No one used the software. The end users were unhappy. We rebuilt the old system. That's not good. Figuring that stuff out beforehand is where the money maker is. So you could prevent maybe a potential $10 million throw out outlay of cash on a project that's going to explode. Maybe a simple conversation or two could stop that at the gate. Now you've just saved the company $10 million on a project that doesn't need to happen because no one actually wants it. So there's just so many different ways to kind of create value. And again, there's so many resources on the internet. Reach out to me, Polo. Like we'd be glad to help you. Anything you guys need. There's just so much information out there, so many videos and stuff to really show you guys. If you don't understand how to do it or what to do or what's applicable for your job, there's tons of resources to help you figure that stuff out. But again, I can't recommend it. Get a mentor, get a coach, get something, get someone who knows a little bit more than you so they could guide you. And again, be like the octopus at work, right? Where you have a toe into every organization within the business. And just having that I promise you'll be the first person they come and tell stuff that maybe other people don't. You have a better understanding of what each function is and how it relates to the work that you do and how your work relates to their work. And of course, when the people above you see that and see how you're kind of, playing the game with all these different things, people notice that stuff. I notice it. I know the people that work above me notice it because I've heard it 1,000 times. So being that person that looks like you're always in a state of creating value or trying to figure out how to create or escalate or decrease a value loss, you are in a great place. And applying that outside your work, it just takes it to the 10th power.
Welcome to the Strategic Lifestyle segment. Oh, this is why I love it so much. We've been talking about elevating and creating 7-figure value so that you can obviously increase your earning potential and become the leader that gets sought after. I always say it all starts with you. This is where we talk about your personal development, right? At the end of the day, for you to show up as a better leader, for you to show up and create something bigger and better, you as a person has to be ready to change, evolve, and become better. Strategically now, so let's think about that, Daniel. On a personal side, what would you think are key tips that everyone listening can walk away with and say, how can they be better leaders and develop themselves personally?
Oh, I could talk about this one forever. But just to give a few small tips. Do what you say you're going to do when you say you're going to do it, right? That goes a long way. But if we really want to talk about the leadership portion of it, right? Now we're talking about managing people or leading people, right? And that brings a whole plethora of challenges with it, right? So again, if you follow anything about emotional intelligence in the 4 domains and the competencies that reside within there, it all starts with self, just like Fuller mentioned, right? So it all starts with the awareness of yourself and really understanding how you act, how you perceive, how other people see you, and really start to build a good understanding of yourself. When you do that, then you could take it outward to the folks closest around you, their team, and then those, the sponsors, the executive stakeholders, the clients, whatever the case may be. But it all starts with you. If you have a really good understanding of yourself, you are golden. Also, although most people think they do, they actually don't. I even found that out myself more recently. Journaling, that's a way to do it. I do it 15 minutes before work, 15 minutes at the end. Every Friday, I kind of pull my notes together. I don't read after I write. I just compile them on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and just kind of see what happens. See what different things affected me, how I responded to people. I start to notice patterns along the way. Also empathy, right? And I don't mean crying with someone or holding their hand, but really having an empathetic ear to what's going on. And that doesn't mean just listening to complaints from your teammate. The empathy of your project sponsor. Maybe they're under pressure. Maybe they feel like they're about to lose their job, right? And really listening to them and understanding what they're going through and why they are the way they are enables you to work better as a partner with them instead of a project sponsor relationship. Also, empathy of the business, empathy of the client, right? Really understanding what's going on, what makes these people tick, how you could leverage that, not in a maniacal, twisted way, but really how you could truly hone in on those professionally and as a human being and really kind of jive together. And that creates great work. When people feel like you understand them, or a little bit about them, their trials and tribulations, all of a sudden everyone's telling you, all their stuff in their personal life. Maybe you don't want to get to that point, but just having that empathetic ear and the bringing it back to the people closest to you. Pay attention to your team. Pay attention to not only what they're saying, but how they're saying it. Pay attention to their eyes, their facial expressions, especially if you're in a room with them. And again, pay attention to your remote workers. Make sure that you're including them on things. If you could just do these basic leadership things, you will have a halfway decent environment, and it'll really set the stage. Again, when people feel like you're just not coming at them with problems or questions all the time, and you take that 2 or 3 seconds before you talk or you respond, and you really listen to them and really wait to deduct some conclusions or answers or help them come to a conclusion, or maybe vice versa. You build relationships that are rock solid. And I promise the next time you need something, you're going to get it most of the time. The next time you're expecting a no, you're probably going to get a yes. And also, here's a little trick I tell all my mentees and clients. Someone told me this a long time ago. I do it with my phone now. When you meet someone, especially for the first time, jot some notes down about them in your phone or on your notepad. Even if it's something, they have kids, they have a husband, they have wife, just something to remember. So next time you meet with those people, you bring that stuff. Hey, how'd your kid graduation go? How's your wedding anniversary? Even you don't want to get into a full blown conversation, but just doing those little things brings the especially if you're asking them for something, it brings the stress level down immediately, at least on your own side, but ordinarily with them. And if you've done that legwork and you built that relationships, you had that lunch with them, you met them for a drink afterwards, whatever the scenario is, already you've established a relationship. So more than often than not, you're going to get that yes a lot faster, as long as you've done your due diligence, you provided options, you do all the things you should, right? And they're going to not want to say no to you. And even if they do, or it takes a little bit longer to get there, they're going to work with you to come to a solution that is good for both of you. So those are just some small tips that certainly have worked for me. And I try to teach them to everyone. I could go on and on about everything, but those are things that I found that works for me. And it's increased my level of success probably by 1,000%.
No, for sure. I think a lot of the times we always, sit back and feel like it has to be those big things. I tell people leaders are humans.
Yes.
The way you go back home and you feel maybe stressed a bit at work, or you go back and wondering, how do I sort out that bills? How do I do this? Everyone has that. It's just that the scale is different. So if you are able to solve a problem, but in a way where people don't understand, what is in it for me, right? What is in it for you? People realize that you bring them into the picture. And another key thing that people don't realize is the fact that your boss at work, your direct manager, is pretty much almost, I don't want to use like your God, but he's almost the one that can shape the trajectory of things.
Yeah.
Like so quick. that means that you have to build that relationship with your boss.
Yes.
100%.
Yes.
You have to make sure that your boss feels comfortable with the work that you do. Your boss feels that you are always there. You have their own back as well. You can never outshine the master. I think I remember that comes in one of the rules of power. I can't remember the author of that, the rules of power, the red one.
Yeah.
If you want to move up in the organization, if you want to start earning more, you want to solve bigger problems, but you want to take the people around you. You want to take them along, because if you feel that I'm just going to do it, I'm just going to go right to the VP or to the executive director. Okay, if that's your boss, but if that's not your boss, you want to be able to sell these ideas and these solutions to the people around you. First level at a minimum, because that way they can become the champions of your personal and professional growth.
Yes.
This way, you're going to reduce your stress levels. You're going to reduce any issue that seems like you're competing or you're trying to get their jobs, because your boss also wants to move up. Because if you help your boss move up as well, it gives you a chance to do that. So looking at it from a vertical and a horizontal perspective, once you are totally aligned with your direct immediate manager, you help them move up in their own career. I'm telling you, you have a greater chance to propel, and you actually have a chance to move up. So as you do a self-assessment as well, I want you to go in and think about, I want to solve bigger problems. Ask your boss, what problems are you looking to solve? What are the bottlenecks you're facing? Book a meeting with that particular leader and say, is there any way I can actually, walk with you and help deal with that? They didn't realize that, this person's thinking about me as well.
Yes.
They will be, because when we talk about succession planning, right? Who comes next? Your boss has to call your name when you're not in the room.
Yeah, that's it. Yep.
All the leaders as well have to be able to do that. And if you're not positioned in a particular way, then it just becomes a major problem as well. Now it's time for the... Okay, the hot seat. Let's get the questions answered. We've got some other people who have asked a couple of questions. So make sure you put your questions in the comments. We're going to be diving deep. Dan's going to be on the hot seat. I'm just going to go right to the side as he comes in and he faces all of these wonderful questions. Okay, let's see one. See, why can't project managers evolve with AI, using the AI as a taskmaster for execution?
If I'm reading this right, I mean, at the end of the day, certainly, right? That's exactly what I would use it for, right? And then please take that word, take my meeting notes, take my decks, take my OKRs and dashboards. It could do all that stuff for you, as long as you pay attention to it and you make sure that you kind of keep an eye on the guardrails, make sure you have data clarity, single source of data, all the things you would expect for a good AI program. But yes, it does that. The good thing and the actual opportunity, as opposed to challenge of that, is now imagine all the time extra you have during the week to do the things me and Paul have been talking about, have those conversations, talk to senior leadership teams. So yes, AI could certainly, if you use it the right way and it's within the realms and you're doing it confidentially and all the things that you would expect from a great guardrail program for AI in your own organization, certainly, please take that stuff away. That's it. I don't know. Please take yourself away with AI.
That's right. I tell people, I say, when they say AI is here, I say, it's a good thing. You need to leverage it in a way that it can help take away the mundane task and gives you a chance to evolve and become more strategic, gives you a chance to think about what are the bigger problems, right? You know, remember when we use the word the skill, for those who obviously were not here before, solve bigger problems, connect to value, architects for leverage, lead at a strategic level, understand the location, expand through multiplication. These are the key things that you can actually start leveraging right away. Don't look at AI as a tool that's going to be like, it's a problem. No. It's actually more of a helper for you. Yeah. Awesome. We have another question. As a PM, how can I bridge the gap between strategy and execution?
Oh, that's a good question. Nice to see you, my friend. Obviously, this is a question we all get all the time, right? And I know that Fuller talks about this a lot. So yeah, again, even when I post on LinkedIn about this, a lot of times, like to me, I see it two ways, right? A lot of times PMs put themselves in the position where people look at them just as like a task executor, right? Also, it could be the environment that creates that, where they perceive and treat project managers as just task executors. So regardless of either one of those two things, we still need to, especially in the age of AI, to be able to develop that next level, right? So one of the actually some of the ways that we already talked about it. And then the strategy part of it, again, being in the rooms or the conversations with those people. You have to speak the language of these people. They want to know about time, money, and like 2 or 3 other variables depending on the organization. And you have to understand how to speak into that language. You have to take that 30,000 foot view. You have to be plugged into the business. And all of these different things together just start to turn your strategy hat on. And again, like Polo mentioned, having conversations with these people, really trying to understand what their struggles are, trying your projects and programs into this 5-10-year strategy of the business. There's so many different ways that you could come at this, but it all starts with you getting outside of the little work, or even if it's massive, the bit of work that you're working in right now, and lifting your head up and really trying to figure out what makes this company tick and how can I add value to that, and inherently how are my projects going to do it, so then I could kind of champion that stuff and that vision from the higher up down to my team and back up the chain. And you do that enough times, keep your word, and a few other things, all of a sudden you start to get looked at a lot differently. It doesn't, sometimes it takes a lot longer, sometimes it's really quick, but just again, working, if you have a project sponsor you work with or an executive team you work with all the time, the more you're in front of these people and really trying to understand their business and how they perceive the world, the better and easier to become a partner with these people. Once that happens, you have unlimited capability within the business.
Oh, yes. As in, I love the fact that you said, understanding what the problem is. I tell people one of the golden documents you want to even go in to go grab is a business case.
Oh, God. Yes. Something everyone misses. Yes.
Listen, most of the time, the project managers have been brought in. They have a career charter they've actually created. But before you were brought in, there was a business justification for your project. In this particular document called the business case, it would actually have, it would have actually stated the reasoning behind it.
Yes.
What were the business gaps? What were the costs? What were the risks that were identified even before you came in? Why are we looking to do this? Because if you can easily connect back to that initial business justification, you can already tell and say, now I get why we're doing this.
Yes.
Now I understand that, okay, because there was maybe, it was a case that we had to maybe go into new markets. We had to increase our market share. That has made us launch a new product line. Or maybe because we know that we want to improve efficiency, you've been brought in to maybe upgrade our IT system. Understanding the why behind it, even understanding what risks that may have been identified, understand the assumptions that may have been made earlier on, helps you come into conversations a lot more intelligently to understand what makes the business actually tick. That is critical, because at times we just start from this, I have a project charter has been signed off, but what the business justification? And maybe even going off to go deal with other people in the business, the people who are going to be recipients of the outcome of the project you've actually built.
Yes.
Why, what does this look like? And then connecting that back to why we set out to do this in the first place. This is also another way that can give you a seat at the table.
Yes.
Understand the business. We need to close that actual gap of what was in original intention, because at times we know that PMs are not brought into those conversations.
No,
so you can get some insights as to what was discussed, having the meeting, build those relationships now, so that you can start closing the gap that exists between strategy and execution.
Yeah. You might find out that the end user and the executive team, they might be saying and thinking something completely different. And that's just another opportunity for you to step in and put that strategy/leadership hat out and show how valued we are, because they might be solving a problem that either doesn't exist or has completely been blown out of proportion.
No, 100%. I love the point you raised in Anthony, where you said business case at times are weekly built. Yeah, but now today's all about value, which companies are trying to realize after the business case was actually put before. Yeah, the fact is that every great business case will obviously have the justification for the actual project, and also we'll also have the intended benefits, although we haven't realized it yet. But there's a reason why we're spending $5 or $10 million, right? And then we intend to create maybe 10% increase in revenue. That's the intention. And then when we build the project, we want to also go back and connect to be sure that have we been able to realize that intended benefit? And that's why I always talk about, elevating your capabilities as a project professional, so you can and a seat at the table, help connect strategy to execution, as well as value and benefit realization. So definitely All great points as well. Let's see if we've got some more time. Let's see if we can get David back on the hot seat. We've got some more people. Does project management? Okay, let's see this one. Does project managers have to make micromanagement in their position or delegate to our engineers and their team? Okay, this is kind of like pretty basic. Pretty much maybe trying to balance micromanaging and delegating. What are your thoughts on that?
Certainly. At the end of the day, if I'm going to, there's a million things that have to do with project management, project leadership. If I'm going to boil it down to one thing, it's influencing without authority, right? There's a million other things that go around that, but we don't micromanage. We influence people. 9 times out of 10, or actually 99 out of 100, we don't have direct control or hierarchical control over the people that we work with. And 9 times out of 10, the people that we're doing this for are ordinarily above us. So we kind of sit in this very weird place where we don't really have control of much, but we're still expected to deliver. So by doing a lot of the things I said, building relationships, having conversations, meeting with your team, one-on-ones, whatever that particular environment looks like and you think you need in that environment, that takes some experience to kind of figure that out. That's how you get people to do things. By using very much emotional intelligence skills, empathy, combining leadership. There's so many different things, but when people start to feel like you're micromanaging them all the time, I promise that they're not going to want to do anything for you. And if they do, it's only going to be because they feel like they don't want to get in trouble or lose their job. You want people to do it because it's the right thing to do. They see the vision. You continue to take the things that Bola just said from the executive team through that business case, bring it down to them, get them excited that we're delivering this as a team for this reason. It's not just to deliver these 12 servers. It's because it's going to make the company 10% more profitable, enable us to go to this other market, or enable these clients to have more direct access to our account management team. Whatever the case may look like for you in that particular environment, that's the level you want to get to. Too many times I did it myself. I shoot myself in the foot. I became that task manager. I was so low level. I never lifted my head up. That's why I keep saying it. And yes, most of us do that in the beginning because you don't know any better. Plus, you're just figuring out. You're always trying to do a good job, and you think you need to have control. That is a myth. You do not need to have control. If you could influence people the right way, they trust you. They believe in what you're doing, and what you're saying, and how it connects. People will follow you off the cliff.
That's right. I think a lot of the times, especially new project professionals, new project managers, you kind of feel, I don't really understand, what this person is doing. I want to do regular team meetings, and all that. But even starting with a basic disclaimer, just to say, we're here to build something great for the organization. There may be times I may want to ask a little bit more information, not really because I want to pry, I want to probe. You want to become more human as a leader, right? You want people to see and understand the fact that we are in this together. If this ship sinks, we all sink together. If we succeed, we succeed together. When you understand, you set the stage where everyone feels welcomed and everyone feels excited, as you said, they will go 1,000 miles for you.
Oh, yes.
And I will also talk about collective win. I never really believe in just saying that I want to reward one person for that particular piece. No. When you know that my success depends on Daniel doing his work well as well, and Daniel's success requires me, we're not going to throw the people under the bus.
No.
If something is going off, you're going to quickly have that meeting and say, what's really going wrong? How can I help you? Because you know that we can only win when we win together. And that's the shift that we need to start getting to. When people understand that you truly got their back, you're going to be the one that's going to be called upon when there's obviously opportunities for raises, when there's going to be opportunities for, something better, rather than saying that that person just wants to get ahead, right? They're gonna do everything to pull anybody down. You know what I mean? And you get, that, yes, but just knowing that, yes, we are here because we have got families, we've got bills to pay, but we know that the vision of the organization has become the next tech giant, or we want to improve efficiency. We want to be able to get our numbers right. And we are the ones who are going to make it happen. Get people excited. Also, get some Tim Hortons.
Get me excited now. I'm amped up, but that's exactly it. Tie what you're doing into the vision and the long-term strategy of the business. And yes, we're just delivering a few new laptops, but how does it affect the business? This little piece you're doing, it has a major effect on the overall business, which is good for you specifically and everyone else. So it's just exactly how Paula said. I couldn't have said it any better.
No, for sure. Oh God, this has been so, I can't believe it's almost, we've gone way over. I know we had technical glitches and stuff, but what would you say, how was the icing on the cake? everyone who has been watching you, Daniel, we've been talking about what separates $100,000 NI, right? Who's just the normal six-figure PM? People who can create greater seven-figure value and beyond, who can build a stronger career for themselves, who can actually take their skill sets and maybe use it as an entrepreneur inside the organization, or maybe an entrepreneur outside the organization. What would you say are the key stuff, and how can people connect with you?
Mindset, certainly. You have to have a different mindset. That's easy one. But yeah, putting all those things together. Oh man, I'm trying to boil it down like really quickly. I mean, again, like we touched on so many good things, and I'm glad that we talked about all of them, because you have to. Here's another thing: step out of your comfort zone, right? You have to step out of your comfort zone. And a lot of the things that I talked about, and we both kind of talked about, is exactly that. We have to make sure that we are looking beyond our little tiny thing and really see what's happening in the world around us, whatever that looks like, professionally, personally, business-wise.
Mm-hmm.
If you could just do that, you'll start to notice things you've never noticed before. Combine that with your emotional intelligence skills, which is really leadership/project leadership. Putting those two things together, and when you're really worrying about managing the human side of the delivery or leading it, as well as having that 30,000 foot view kind of tied into everything, you bring those two things to bear. Now you are a strategician working in a company and creating and amassing mass value, and you're putting it down to your team, which leaves a legacy. And then, of course, hopefully those people rise up, you rise up, and it goes on and on and on. But like Bola said, take care of your boss, because when they think that you're a champion of them, they'll champion you. They'll answer your emails. They'll approve your time off. And at the end of the day, the succession plan, when they hopefully move up at some point, you're going to be the first one. So kind of, I would say all the things that we talked about collectively, if you just do a little bit about them, and journaling, I promise, I know this sounds crazy. I never believed in it, but take 30 days and just, even if it's 15 minutes a day, just kind of write down just what you observe, what you feel, what you hear, what other people say, how people react to you. Don't look at it. 30 days later, take a look at it, and you'll start to see some notice and patterns. And from there, you have the self-awareness to really start the foundation of building what we've talked about today.
100%. I think that's good. And I think just a way to actually put an icing on the cake for those who are just joining us as well. I had wrote this. I just scribbled some things out while we're talking. I think about the word scale. As you navigate the organization in the workplace, you want to think about how can you solve bigger problems? What exactly are the things that you're doing today that could create bigger and greater efficiency? Because when you solve bigger problems, you're going to get paid way bigger as well for them. So that could obviously mean, strategic stuff. It could actually tie back to strategy, impact on revenue, reduce costs. We talk about reducing risk, right? Those are key things that organizations actually always care about. Position yourself. That's absolutely critical as you create, as you're trying to think about the bigger problems. Like, you map out the problem, identify what the pain points are, right? Map it out and position yourself as the one who can actually solve it. Connect to value, as we said before. As you're kind of doing all of that, you want to be sure that you are one who can see the bigger picture. You can actually ride through that, but also you can actually help them see the roadmap to actually create the solution for that as well. Yeah. The next one, I said architects for leverage. Make sure that whatever you're doing, people can actually see a roadmap to actually get there. How can you create to make sure it's actually repeatable? You create a solution, make it bigger for more people. Create a framework, create a playbook, create something that people can actually see that can say, I can repeat this for maybe the accounting team, or maybe also operations.
You'll be surprised how applicable it is in other groups, other teams, or even on a client site.
Exactly. And so if you can actually make it repeatable and other people can actually leverage it, it makes it actually easy. I've broken all of this out. As I said, once you come at the word scale, I will be sending that resource to you, but make sure we also connected as well, because you're going to benefit from that. Lead at a strategic level. We gave the analogy of the location piece, right? You can be delivering stuff about what you know, but maybe your location isn't just right, or maybe it's just a case that you're just not visible. That could be something. Fix that, and you're going to change your perspective. And then you want to create the multiplicity effect. Just imagine what Daniel has actually built, what I have built online. You can actually reach one to more. I tell people, just like dating in an organization, you want to leverage your skill, but you want more people to see what you've got. Yes. You want to leverage tools like LinkedIn. You want to leverage conversations, talk about stuff at bigger groups, put yourself up to help, create a short training, work with HR and say, I am also great at communication. You want to create a multiplicity effect. You want to multiply the value that you create by making other people actually see it and actually know it. Oh my goodness. I just want to say thank you.
I'm so amped up on a Saturday now after that conversation.
I know. So just to let you know, we have that resource for you. So once you put the comment skill, you're going to be getting that particular reason. I want people to actually get to know the stuff that you're doing as well online. People from my community and stuff. How can they connect with you, Daniel? And what are those key things and what they need to do to get into all this good stuff that you already created?
Sure, absolutely. And again, first of all, thank you so much, Paul. It's been great. We talked earlier. I'm so glad to be doing this with you, and such important topics, right? Especially with the age of AI here. But certainly, if you guys don't know me, obviously I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on it 35 hours a day, not 24. So I'm always on there. But if you go to pmplaybook.com, with the pmplaybook.com, we have a lot of different things, really. We're just trying to, it's a free community where, come on, come all, doesn't matter where you're from. You don't need to bring a wallet, all that good stuff. There are some paid earnings in there, but we really want to create an environment where regardless of where you are, you have access to the same resources that everyone else is, not dependent on how much money you make or what your environment, pretty much exactly what Paul was saying. So we have everything we need there, but it's going to be a lot more cool project management, project leadership stuff. But a lot of stuff that we talked about, we're building a lot of free training for it, a lot of courses. We have a lot of great people coming in. So yeah, LinkedIn, the website. Other than that, again, do not hesitate to reach out to me. I answer all questions, I promise. My thing is helping people, and I can't get enough. If I'm 51 years old, I can't help the next generation coming behind me. What am I doing, right? So yeah, reach out to me, and certainly leave any comments on this post and the things that Polo put together. And other than that, thank you so much for being here, guys. It was a really exciting call today.
Awesome. It's been such a great pleasure. I want to thank everyone. We had people from all over the world. Let me know as well if you're watching it on the replay. Let me know if you're watching it on the replay as well, in the location where you joined as well. We're going to create a map to show that we've actually reached pretty much almost all locations all around the world. I want to say thank you so much. For those who obviously don't know me, I'm also from Life Alibi, and I've made it my mission to ensure that we elevate project professionals, move from just the normal, executionist, if I use that word, to become strategic project leaders, where you can actually earn more, you can actually be more, and create the life you do not need a vacation from. That's exactly what I'm about. Yes. Where you become more valuable. Yes. I have tools and resources. I do workshops, trainings as well. And beyond everything, I provide free resources and support, just the way Daniel does, to make sure that you never stay where you are. I have been stuck. I have been there. Today, I create the life that, believe it or not, I tell people I don't have a job. It's a lifestyle for me. So come along and join the party. Let me know, and let's do this together. And let's provide everything you need, not only for you, but also for your team to be more successful. Every week, I am live here, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we're giving tools, support, resources. You can ask questions, and we can dive into everything that you've been struggling with. Also, give me a private DM. Let me know. There's sometimes you don't want to, go online and let everyone know what's going on. But believe it or not, I have lived through this for the past 2 decades. I cannot believe I'm that old, but yes, I know, right? I walked across different continents, and I have seen it. I train, I deliver talks, and I know that you can actually elevate. I did it. Daniel has actually done this, and you can do that as well. Same time next week. I cannot wait to help elevate you and make you the leader that everyone feels excited about. See you same time next week. Have yourself a good one. Bye-bye.
Have a good